Hi, welcome back to the Star Cafe Latte Chat. Just before the break, there was a very interesting argument between Dr. Lan and Haji Borhan from Kapena. Okay, why, Dr. Lan, you were saying, why should parents be made to pay extra when there is an existing option available?
Well, that option could be made available is what I'm saying. It's not available now, which is the unfortunate thing. So my point is, even if parents can afford to send their children to international schools, they shouldn't have to fork out the money, because we're talking about Malaysians who are wanting the best for their children's education, right? So that's my point. We should have the third option.
Chelsea, this brings back to the point that one size doesn't fit all. There are four of us sitting here, and we have four different opinions. So if there are options available, then everyone can choose their option. I was just looking at the national economic philosophy, and one of the tenets of it is bilingual proficiency. So Bahasa is taken for granted because it is the national language. What is the second language? That's my question. Should people be given options to choose the second language? Now, the case for English, British Council says that by 2020, 2 billion people will be learning and speaking English. And organizations like Nokia and major institutions around the world are adopting English as the communication language. And if we are to move into a developed nation by 2020, and we want our people, Malaysians, to be able to communicate and do business in the world, the options then becomes quite obvious that one of the languages that must be made available to Malaysians is English.
Taking that closer to home, you have the business Asian, I think, business agreement in 2015. They've decided to adopt English as the language of business within ASEAN. So, you don't have to go very far.
Right.
And the fact that one size does not fit all has already been ascertained in the Malaysian Education Blueprint. So the government is open to the fact that there is strength in our diversity, and this is something that we should capitalize. And we should not be impeding our children if they want to learn in English. And plus the fact that if you look at this again, I'm quoting the blueprint. If you look at the composition of schools at the moment, you have 98% Malays in national schools, the same in Chinese schools, and Tamil schools. So why are we separating our children from each other at such a young age and expect them to converge at, say, national service? It just doesn't make sense. So I believe English medium schools are the school that will attract all races, and not just the non-Malays but also the Malays, because we saw that already that happening before the 1970s, when English medium schools had probably the best type of integration there ever was. And we know that we have benefited from English medium schools, and the children who are in English medium schools are now very successful professionals now. So why are we placing that obstacle? I don't understand.
We had it before, we could have it again, and it may not be easy, but it's not hard.
But Chelsea, to have it before and to have it again is just not good enough. Moving forward, what is the language that's going to be spoken in all the world? In business, in education, in everywhere else?
The language of acquiring knowledge.
Yeah. It is mainly in English.
Yes.
And therefore English is a very important part. And English is just a language, it's communication. And without the ability to communicate, confidence will not be there.
Yes.
All right. And if you look at employers today, the number one complaints by employers is the level of spoken English. That's number one. Yeah. So employers even today are looking for people that will join the institutions who can speak and communicate in English.
Well, I think we are talking about English. Why not we are talking about the national language? Okay, why not to bring that to national language? I think for the past few years we have been having national language education, Malay as a medium, and we have I think produced about hundred of thousands professional doctors, lawyers so far, and now they are getting the they got their education through Malay medium, all right. We have doctors, we have professors, we have lawyers, we have great businessmen now. They get all from the Malay medium, not from the English medium.
Yes,
why can't they?
Unfortunately, the unemployed graduates now, majority of which, the majority of them are Malays. I believe they number about 70,000. So things have to be done differently. We want a different outcome.
And
so you're talking about those who went on to become successful in their professional lives, but there are also, for instance, a large group of Chinese students who initially, for primary schools, they go through the Chinese medium schools. But then for secondary school, they transfer to the national schools. But they suffer. Why? Because the command of Bahasa Malaysia is just not good enough. So they go through, Form 1 and 2, and eventually they just drop out because they fail to learn what they're supposed to learn. Simply because of the language. It's not because they are not capable of learning. Their failure is due to the language. So we also have a large group of students like that.
Yeah, I understand, Doctor. I was a principal before. I was a lecturer before.
So you know what I'm talking about.
But that's not the main reason. That's not the main reason. Because I think if they are not proficient enough in Bahasa Melayu, Bahasa Malaysia, then it's not because of the medium. It's because of what they study in the primary school. The teachers didn't teach them well enough to acquire a good.
But you see, intrinsically, you are just made in a certain way. A certain language just doesn't work well for certain people. For instance, myself, Bahasa Malaysia was not something that I could excel in. I was much better with English when I was growing up. I spoke English with my friends rather than using Bahasa Malaysia. So for some kids, it's just intrinsically what they're comfortable with, especially those who are growing up with, first language, growing up with English as a first language.
Due respect to your comfortability of English language, but as a Malaysian, we are proud of we are called a Malaysian, and we should acquire a good Bahasa Melayu. Standard of Malay. We can speak, we can talk, we can deliver whatever it is. Besides, we have a second language. But the main thing is that you must acquire a good Bahasa Malaysia language.
Personally, I'm very supportive of that. As a Malaysian, all of us should learn Bahasa Malaysia and be proficient in that language. But we're talking about the medium of instruction here, right? Learning Bahasa Malaysia as a language is a separate issue versus learning everything else in Bahasa Malaysia. So I think we're confusing the two here. So you're advocating for learning everything in Bahasa Malaysia just to acquire the proficiency in Bahasa Malaysia.
Oh, yes.
But the problem is not every student can do that. It's just simply not their preferred language of learning.
I think we also have to look at we have to consider the transition from primary to secondary onto higher education. As you can see, we've become an international education hub, and we've done very well in that sense. And if obviously English is the medium instruction, which is why you get universities here are represented by 100 countries, students from 100 countries. That's fantastic, and it'll be a shame if these international universities, our own students cannot make the grade to get into these international. That will be a real shame, And plus the fact that even in our local universities, you have more English, or rather a lot of it's taught English, because you're attracting a lot of foreign students. University Malaysia has gone international now. So why stop the children from learning English? Because in the end, at higher education, you will be educated in English. So if you were to start learning English in primary school, the transition will be so smooth all the way up.
Here is very clear. Patriotism and acquiring knowledge are two separate things, which I think the national school is trying to put
It should
together.
not be one at the expense of the other. It should be simultaneous and in tandem. Definitely. The national language, Bahasa Malaysia, is the responsibility of every Malaysian to know, to read, to write, and to speak it. There's no running away from it. It is protected by the Constitution.
English medium school as an option will not affect the status of Bahasa Melayu as the national language.
Definitely not.
Yeah. come back after the break.